Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2014 League of Legends Pro League Summer Playoffs. We're here in the upper bracket finals for best of 5 between OMG and Edward Gaming. And after game number 2, MVP changes teams, and this time around it's cool with a very cool 5-1-10 performance.
Yeah, and most of all, it is all about mid laners. This time around, it is cool with his Twist of Fate. The previous game, it was all about you with his Rise, so both mid laners getting the MVPs, and they deserve it. So when they step up the game, this team wins the game, actually.
I believe it was actually Clearlove that got the MVP for game 1, if I'm not mistaken. But very big performances from both mid laners across the board, and that'll tie the series up at 1-1. So that means that coming into game number 3, the game is basically a best of 3 to decide who will advance to the grand finals with that 1 game advantage.
Alright, yeah, actually Clearlove got this MVP. Sorry for this one, but still, you was such a huge part of the victory of EDG in the first game. That was just so great performance on his Rise. The second game, well, cool CF was just too good right there. But yeah, talking about the top laners a little bit maybe. We have Koro1, who tried to go for this Shyvana. It didn't really work out, but actually the patches are not the best thing for both of these top laners right now. Both Jax and Kayle got nerfed quite massively throughout the latest patches. And Koro1, these were his champions to go to. 6-2 on Kayle, 5-0 on Jax. That is an impressive stat right there. On the other hand, we have Gogoing, who played a lot of Gragas and a lot of Kayle. And both of these champions are just not there anymore. However, Gogoing has a great Aurelia up his sleeve, while on the other hand, Koro1 has to refer to some different champions that may not really be his best.
That's true, and you could really see the discrepancy between the top laners. Koro1 very far behind for the majority of the game. I think at around 14 to 15 minutes, Gogoing already had like a 30 CS lead on him. And honestly, you want to talk about some big manliness. Gogoing, if you've ever seen the guy, he lives out his persona in the game as well. Just an incredible performance from his Aurelia. Kind of crazy jumping in 1v3, but he always managed to make it out alive. Just awesome to watch this guy at work. And his Aurelia, game number 2, is that ban worthy now? Because game 1 we saw Alistar Maokai, and then game 2 they were both banned out. So does Gogoing's Aurelia deserve a ban? Probably not, just because there is so much to ban between the top and mid laners. We'll see if Dada7's Braum now gets a ban, as that has been banned against him previously, and was a big factor in helping San get ahead in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that definitely is a big factor. Actually, all of the picks that get there through the bans are big factors, because you cannot ban out Cool. That's actually been said already multiple times by us and by Frostgrind and Pyra. And actually, Alistar Maokai, you cannot unban these champions, but Aurelia, also a strong champion for Gogoing. Like you said, Braum in the bottom lane. However, Dada wasn't really too successful on this one, wasn't 100% great, wasn't hitting a lot of Winter's Bites and Glacial Fissures, but still, it was great. And that's what OMG need. While on the other hand, Name, dying 5 times, in the end I think it was even 6. That is not a great performance at all, so maybe he'll switch up a little bit and try to not go for the Kog'Maw, for something a little bit more mobile.
And now for something completely different. Picks and bans for game number 2. Edward Gaming, they already know what they're going to ban as far as, guaranteed bans, so no questions asked. It's a Yasuo and Orianna. And you're probably going to see Orianna banned for the majority of the rest of these playoffs, just because of how huge it has been for almost every single mid laner. You maybe had some hits and misses for his shockwaves, but the ones that hit changed the game. So no more Oriannas, and of course the Zilean ban as well for you, so nobody gonna give him that champion. And we did see the Braum come out for Edward Gaming, so no more Braum from Dada7. Give him too much pressure in the lane phase, and there's the ban on Twisted Fate. So very reactionary bans from EDG.
That means Maokai or Alistar is gonna left out open.
And it's first pick for Edward Gaming, so you gotta think they're going for the Maokai ban, but they banned the Lulu instead. And then instant pick, no questions asked. Koro1 takes his Maokai.
Wow, that is Great for Ko1. And actually going hovering over this Aurelia. However, Alistar is a really strong champion. They should really go for it.
I mean, Alistar, it was okay, but especially managing that ultimate cooldown for going didn't quite work out that well in game number 1. Now, his Aurelia was very strong, but maybe that matchup not something he's confident, and they'll go right back to those top lane picks. It's a little bit of a remake from game number 1, but this time it's Cool who locks in the Rise and takes it away from EDG's U.
But Alistar can still be a support, and FZZF is known for his Alistar play. So taking this Aurelia would give away the Alistar to EDG, and having both Alistar and Maokai on a lineup is not a thing that you want to see whatever you have in your plans. It's not really going to work out. But once again, we do have the Kog'Maw for Name.
Name's Kog'Maw, game 1, incredibly strong. Game 2, incredibly not strong. Went 0-3 during the lane phase, so I'll have to keep an eye out on what AD carry San wants to go for. His Corki was more than enough up for the challenge, but of course that was with Dada's Braum that was been banned out, so he's going to lock that win in no questions asked, and Drug's like, hey, if it works, we're going to keep it going. Locks in the Kha'Zix for at jungle. So we already know jungle picks for both sides. It's not going to be the Amumu, although maybe Name is a little bit sad about things. But they're going to go for a Morgana support here. Talk about why we didn't see that one in game number 1. Morgana, not something we'd expect. It's locked in for FCCF, or at least it looks like it's going to be.
Yeah, it most probably is, since Morgana is definitely a strong pick, and that's a thing that he has played in the past.
Name. There we go. Changes it up for a Ziggs in the mid lane. All right, so we get to see a different champion again here for you. So no more Ryze, it's a Ziggs. And how does that work out in the mid lane? Is it just for the long-range poke and wave clear, or is it specifically versus Cool's Ryze?
Oh, first of all, it's definitely the favorite champion of you. He was playing Ziggs over and over again at the very beginning of the regular split. Maybe a little bit alongside the Syndra, but definitely Ziggs is the champion that he will most probably pick whenever he can. And it was banned every single game when they played against LGD. So that definitely is a scary champion to face. Well, Cool sitting on a Rise though, he might have some chances there.
Yeah, but the big thing, the big surprise that you can see the casters sort of in awe over is the swap up, the lock-in for the last pick Aurelia. And like you said, Alistar can be played as a support, and this time it's a support for Dada 7. Going, baiting out the Alistar pick up top, and then taking it back in down in the bottom half and grabbing his Aurelia once again. So it's really cool to see going still on the Aurelia pick. It is very non-standard versus a Maokai. Usually versus Maokai, you'll just go for another big sustain tank top lane like Shyvana, Dr. Mundo, something along those lines, but Going is actually taking the aggressive option, going for Aurelia.
Yeah, so in the end, he did pick up this Maokai and did get his Aurelia, so they didn't give Alistar to FCCF. That is the most important thing. I think I said Maokai somewhere in there. It shouldn't happen. But yep, we'll be getting into the game number 3 in just a couple of seconds.
Alright, so stick around. Game number 3 coming your way. Edward Gaming tied up against OMG.
每天睡个饱，还有燕窝蜂蜜柚子茶，蜂蜜带来健康，柚子带来美丽，健康美丽喝啥哟？燕窝蜂蜜柚子茶。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Edward Gaming versus OMG, game number 3. So Dada grabs a support Alistar coming out, but it's Alistar versus Morgana. Something tells me Morgana might have some options in that matchup.
Yeah, definitely. The Black Shield is gonna deny a lot of the headbutts and pulverizes from Dada 7, but yeah, also another thing is that FZCF, as I said, he's known for his play on Alistar, so he definitely knows how to play against this champion. And with a Dada, such a shaky support player on this, it might be an easy laning phase for EDG. And once again, we have San in the bottom. Well, he wants to be looking for a lane swap, because he wants to be farming up and then being strong in the late game. This is not a good laner.
Now, interesting to see the summoner spell choices. No exhausts from either team. TP is standard for the top laners, and Smite's jungle. The exhausts usually on the support players aren't there anymore. So binding lands onto San. Nice double phosphorus bomb. Hit up there, or yeah, by San trading the damage right back. So early level 1 trades not really establishing very much, but it will reveal the lane matchups to both teams. So it does appear as if they are willing to stick with this 2v2.
Yeah, and San is gonna stay in the bottom lane. Of course, throughout the regular split, he stepped up his laning phase a little bit, but still, it's not the greatest in the LPL.
Dada gonna go in with a headbutt, but there's no follow-up pulverize, so it's really just kind of bullying around Name while FCCF was up warding. So yeah, he didn't actually drop a ward though, so I'm not sure why he was just kind of wandering. Realized he needed to get back to his lane. Keep it in there. A pause coming out, so might be an issue there with San. You can see the referee standing beside him, hopefully fixing any issues that he has right there. But early on, I talk about why both of these teams wanted this 2v2. Is this something that favors Name because he has a Morgana support? Or is this more a reaction from San and Dada wanting to force the 2v2 with Alistar?
Well, actually forcing a 2v2 with this Alistar against the Morgana is another thing that might go both ways. So it's up to MCCF if he can successfully block all that Dada 7 will come up with. Or not. Name, well, it's up to him also. He definitely needs to step up his play. It's unacceptable to have him playing like in the second game of this series.
Still waiting to work the issues out there, and we'll get a chance to see the OMG lineup there on the screen. See who it is that's having the issues. I thought it was San, but it might not be. Might be somebody over on EDG. Okay, and everybody's back in the game, and we already got Dada back on the aggressive. So headbutt right in there onto Name. Phosphorus bomb will miss. So a little bit of nice aggression, but still got to keep an eye on the mana costs being used there for OMG's dual lane. And excited to see how this top lane matchup works out too, because going picking the aggressive option into a very tanky Koro might be able to punish him early on before he really gets all that defensive stats as he's trying to build his way towards the Rod of Ages.
Yeah, but Maokai still isn't really the weakest, so it's not like Gogoing is just gonna bully him without getting punished too. Still gonna be a little bit of trade damage coming out from Koro 1, but yeah, the bottom lane, Name, just getting bullied by the headbutts over and over again. And Dada 7 doesn't seem like he's suffering on the mana.
A nice black shield there on Name will keep him safe from the phosphorus bomb damage. That's just something to talk about. There's a lot of magic damage just between Corki and Alistar anyway. So the black shield, even if it doesn't block a lot of CC, it's going to be effective at keeping the damage a little bit lower. So FCZF, he's playing this one not quite as aggressively as Dada is, but he's still having presence there in the bottom lane with a black shield there on Name. He knows he can walk up. There's not a whole lot that Dada can do about it.
Yeah, and actually, Clearlove, he's the guy that usually will be looking for the ganks around pretty much everywhere. But on the other hand, we have Drug, who's focusing a lot on the top and mid. So we do have Gogoing on this Aurelia. He has a little bit of damage, so Drug might be looking for the pressure in the top to help out this Aurelia win against the Maokai, while Clearlove might just ramp up Name, which would be a great thing for them. If FCCF can land a big Dark Binding, then it definitely will be a nice fight for EDG.
That's right, just some minor harassment down there. We were talking earlier about secret strats. Let me give you a secret stat, and it's not really a big secret, but between these two teams, over their entire lifetime of competition, EDG has actually come out 7-5 in victories versus OMG. But the big secret to that is that the majority of their victories came last split versus Edward Gaming. In this split, EDG's picked up a 2-0, and then they've tied 1-1, so still have yet to see this work out. Now, where's the pulverize in here? Dada's looking for it, but not going to come. FCCF and Name will make it out. No flash is blown, but Summoner Heal used there by Name. To continue my stat report, it was like I said, all of the advantages, all of the 2-0s that OMG picked up versus Edward Gaming came from last split. So this split, it's been EDG not only having a favorable matchup rating versus OMG, but versus almost every other team in LPL. They come out on top at first place. They were 1 point ahead of OMG. I think EDG finished with like 24 points and OMG finished with 23. So there's it's still very, very close as far as skill level is concerned, but as far as the head-to-head, EDG with a sizable advantage. Nothing really being illustrated so far that might illustrate one way or another, so just kind of keeping things safe. Name keeps running into those phosphorus bombs. Still trying to find a way to dodge those without using up that black shield. And now San might be in a little bit of trouble there. He gets dark bound out there to the side, so that is not where he wanted to be. A nice Valkyrie out, but FCZF's on point with the bindings, keeping him in there. And now San and Dada, Dada always looks like he wants to go in, but he has to keep reminding himself that there's a black shield there, so it's probably not going to work out if he wants to try something.
A little bit unfortunate, but yeah, we actually talked about how Dada will be running out of mana quite quickly, but it's actually San that is running low on this resource. And actually talking about this record, EDG versus OMG, EDG actually just crushed OMG outside of the LPL every single time when they played on different tournaments. They had a great advantage there.
That's true. XCS, they also were able to pick up a 2-0 versus OMG, so that is one of the reasons. Now, Drug is going to come up top lane. He hasn't been scouted out there by a ward, but is there enough tankiness here by Koro? Got the Equilibrium Strike, trying for the stun, but he just gets a slow. And of course, the Transcendent Blades. Sometimes they're translucent, this time they're transcendent. Binding onto Dada, but that is not the target you want to bind if you're looking for an engage.
No, unfortunately. And Drug, just as I tried to hype up his pressure around the top and mid that he usually goes for, he finally ganked the bottom lane. Didn't really get too much out there. But Name had to burn his heal. Right now it's almost back up already.
Neither jungler really in position for any ganks. You can see even though Drug was up top lane getting those ganks off, he's still ahead about 10 CS over Clear Love. Pretty passive early start to the game, but we're only about 8 minutes in. No team with any sizable advantages just yet, but look at the ward coverage. You can already see the pink wards starting to come out from Edward Gaming. They're starting to pick those up. You know, every time somebody goes back, it's do you have enough money for a pink ward? The answer is yes. You put that much more pressure around that dragon area, and you can see there's one on the ramp guarding the entrance to the upper entrance to the lower jungle of Edward Gaming, and now it's actually Clear Love looking to go deep into the enemy jungle and try to find out Drug, and he will actually find him around by the wolf camp. Start pinging him out.
Yeah, and actually around the top lane, Koro burned his teleport to just come back to the lane, so looks like EDG will not be looking for the early dragons as of yet.
Early dragons not really an option when you go for these duo lanes, unless one duo lane is like losing extremely hard, just because they do have the numbers advantage down there, as opposed to a 2v1 where one team would have more champions in the dragon area, so you'd see them maybe a little bit earlier. The lane matchup actually going fairly well for Going. He's staying even in CS, but Koro's finally started to pull ahead just a little bit, getting the better of those waves, and might finally start to be becoming a little bit too tanky for Going to deal with, but he has gone for a Sheen first for that early burst.
Now, while on the other hand, we have a little bit of health already built for Koro, so we'll be coming out a little bit on top in the trades, the heals. And actually, in case someone didn't notice, you just stole the blue buff with the Mega Inferno Bomb from Cole. So that is quite a big deal, especially against Rise.
So he's got the blue buff, he took it away from Rise, and that actually sets up for a pretty big power spike when he comes back from base, because he'll have blue buff, or as we have affectionately called it, the U buff, because he gets it so much. Be coming back from base with that, the Chalice, 2 pink wards in the inventory for Edward Gaming, and you gotta know they're looking towards Dragon.
Oh yeah, they definitely should. It's just the first focus of EDG in a game. They are looking for a Dragon, first of all, and then they will be setting themselves up for this one. That usually leads to an early advantage that helps them win the game later on.
Usually being the key word there, and consistency.
Yeah.
Always a big issue with a lot of LPL teams.
Wasn't the case in the previous game. They got the dragon and then they lost the dragon fight and the turret. So
EDG almost unanimously in their games the first team to take down dragon, and this game is no different. They'll grab dragon number 1 and shoot themselves off to about a 1,500 gold lead at the 11-minute mark. So early advantage there as far as the global objectives are concerned, but no kills just yet. Still a relatively passive start to the game. Lots of pressure being put on. FCZF looking for the Dark Binding, misses it. Doesn't even force the Valkyrie out of San, so good job staying safe in the absence of Dada. But now Dada's back in lane. Hits that headbutt, but where's the Pulverize? Name's Black Shield wears up right there, and there's the damage to come back in. A Phosphorus Bomb, but FCZF's turning on his ult. Now San Valkyrie's backwards. Clearlove's coming in from the side. Now Dada will get that Summoner heal to escape with his life, but his ult's down, that heal's down, and a lot of aggression from OMG not paying off.
yeah, and FCZF actually missed a lot of these Dark Bindings right there. The first one underneath the turret of OMG, then when he was going for the Soul Shackles, he missed another one. Well, this Morgana still being a little bit only about the Black Shield up until now, but, well, it is FCZF. He definitely can step up his game. And
Dada turns around for the dance swag versus Clearlove. He was trying to comment to him. Just throws out the Pulverize and dances in his face as Clearlove runs back to his team. Dada actually more going, not necessarily for the roam, but started to clear out some of this ward coverage around the dragon area. OMG actually with a few more wards, and actually a lot more wards. There's only 2 on the map for Edward Gaming, but I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the map right now. Possibly even 7. Didn't count them exactly. For OMG, I think EDG now have 3 wards out there, so good on ya. We've got continual shades in the top lane, but both top laners out of mana means they're both going to go back to base, and once again, both with their teleports left alive.
yeah, Koro 1 still having a lot more health than going right there in the top lane. He's winning the trade, definitely. And you, once again, he will be securing his blue buff while Cool will just get the first one of the game right now. So stacking up the tier might not be the quickest thing in the world for Cool.
But just like we saw in game number 1, the stacking ability of the Rod of Ages is also in there. So you have to keep an eye out on Koro. Once he completes that item, he'll have a nice item to sit on for the next 10 minutes while he stacks it all the way up. We'll see how effective that is. Like you said, Tier does the same thing. Same for Rod of Ages. So Cool. We'll be having some of that same sort of stacking scaling coming his way as well. Mega Inferno Bomb. It's a little bit late this time, and he's unable to steal it. Second time is not the charm, and this time the blue buff will go over to the blue champion, Cool's Rise, taking it away.
Yep, just as I said, this time Cool will be getting his blue buff, and actually a lot of pressure around the bottom lane. Name not died even once in this game, and well, there's been no first blood as of yet, but they are pressuring the turret quite heavily. So if this goes down, once again, the dragon pressure appears. So EDG will most probably be able to secure yet another objectives, but first they have to focus on taking this turret down. And that is actually a tough...
Pulverize actually lands on Aname. Now Dada is in a little bit of trouble. He walks back and forth, but takes most of his HP and damage. Going is forced to take 3 turret shots off of a nice snare from Koro. So now he definitely has the pressure up there in the lane. Drug sitting on a pink, just waiting for you to walk back towards mid, unable to find it. But OMG starting to show some vulnerability in their lanes.
Yeah, and a little bit of a tough choice for EDG right now. Do you bring the turret down and focus on taking the objectives and coming out on gold, while giving San the possibility to just solo farm?
Oh, you forced a flash over the wall there. Dada 7, though, gets a nice headbutt back on Name underneath the turret. But Clearlove is right there for the counter engage. Dada 7 is pretty dead. 7, he is out of there. Kill goes over to FZZF, who grabs first blood at the 15-minute mark. So an uncharacteristically passive game for both teams. This is LPL. We want to see team fights all the time. That's what we've come to know and love. But playing this one much more passively, definitely benefiting Edward Gaming. They finally get their 20 CS advantage for Corki in that late game matchup, but now we gotta watch the top lane as going versus Koro. Very, very aggressive. Koro actually trading out relatively well there. Shows his sustained advantage off of every auto attack, not just every 5 spell casts like for Koro.
Yeah, and Core 1 is just consistently coming out on top in these trades in the top lane, so that definitely is working quite well for him, but we are waiting for the big teleport from Core 1 because that's what this guy is just focused on throughout the whole game, throughout all his historical appearances on EDG. He's just looking for the great teleports into the team fights because EDG is a team fighting team, and while the dragon will be spawning in just a couple of seconds, we might get to see it quite soon.
Dragon should be a big objective. Of course, Edward Gaming took down the first dragon of the game, so we'll see if OMG want to bring it back. That's exactly what's happened in every single game this series. Edward will take the first, and then OMG will come back for the second. So neither team really making a move just yet, but OMG are set up. They do have some pretty good ward clear that Edward Gaming will now try to counter out with some pink wards placed around the bottom half of this lane. And that pink ward is actually really huge because it keeps Cool from walking down towards the dragon area. He's going to try to farm this one out, but as Cool been caught out here, Bouncing Bomb will not hit. He'll back out safe and sound mid-turret, and a little bit of jeopardy as EDG pressure in there. Koro might be in a lot of trouble, and if I might, I mean he is. He's going to get headbutted, pulverized, drugs there with the damage. Don't want to do that guy. He is bad news for the Maokai, but with the big gang top lane, there's no pressure around the dragon. And that will be 2 dragons in a row for Edward Gaming, and the only hope for a trade for OMG comes off taking this top turret, which may not necessarily... Okay, yeah, there it is. Going had already put a lot of damage. So, dragon for turret. Still even in turrets, though. The objective lead for Edward Gaming, almost 3,000 gold ahead at 17 minutes.
This time around, it's a little bit better for OMG, though, because in the first game, they traded a dragon for a kill. At least this time around, they got a turret on top of that. But still, I don't think that the best trade for them, because they lose a lot of gold right now, and you is getting it. And this Ziggs is definitely a scary thing, especially on you. So if they can't get this Ziggs going, OMG will have a tough time. And FCZ, yeah, he secured the first blood for EDG, so... Of course, that means he will be going for a bit of AP once again. But let's hope that not a Magi Soul Stealer.
I don't know, he's been picking that up pretty consistently, but now he's finally found a support where you don't have to build Magi's to pick up ability power. You can see the Seeker's Arm Guard there, looking for that Zonya's Hourglass, which is a pretty core item on Morgana, but now, oh, Dada7, he dodges. He dodges away from that, but he's gonna get dunked on here. Turns on his ultimate, and he will be kind of tanky for a little bit, but EDG find the dunk in there. Now San has to be very careful. He's down to about 500 hit points. Able to get out of there. Dada gets caught, but no follow-up. Clear Love barely escaping with his life.
Yeah, a lot of both of the teams, and
blue buff getting taken there by Drug, so he does get that blue steal, but oh, does Cool make it out of this one alive? The flash in, the binding, the flash out, countered out. Cool forced on out of there. Nice binding from FCZF, forcing out the summoner.
Yeah, and at least Cool stays alive because there still is this possibility of a rise, just ramping up with his scaling, with the Tear of the Goddess, with the Rod of Ages to come back into this game, and Cool definitely is an experienced player, so he can make this happen.
Oh, but they bait out Koro. They stay in the bush, and Cool and Going are now going to be looking for their kill onto Koro 1. And there's one more auto attack, and it is going to be the top lane kill. Of course, in the mid lane, EDG killing turrets, which do not respawn, whereas the champion killing the top lane probably not as worthwhile for OMG.
Yeah, that is the thing that OMG is just doing over and over again. In the first game, they traded a kill for a dragon. This time around, they traded turret for a kill. Well, it's not the way to win the game. They are giving away EDG a lot of advantages that they shouldn't get for free.
Yeah, Edward Gaming definitely on top of the objective game, even though they might lose, more champions. They're up 2 dragons, 2 turrets, versus just the 1 turret there for OMG. And the guy I'm going to be watching this game is Going. We've talked about how mid laners are really defining these games, but I feel like Going's position as an aggressive Aurelia really is designed to put pressure onto guys like you, like Name, and maybe make them a little bit less effective because they have to worry about this now Trinity Force top laner blade surging to the back line. So keep a big out onto Koro if he's going to have enough peel for you and Name. Or just on to Name to see if this Blade Surge, this Rune Prism, all of this catch potential and burst from OMG will be able to counter out this very late game, very poke-oriented lineup from Edward Gaming.
Yeah, that is actually a very tough thing to deal with. You do have a Maokai who can tank out pretty much everything. You do have a Name on a hyper carry. You have you on his very comfortable champion, which is Ziggs. Well, OMG positioning themselves quite aggressively.
You can see Drug and Going have just sat there in that brush, and now, oh Name, no, don't do it! Drug's gonna jump in, but Name immediately flashes back to the back. You can see Going, he's immediately dashing on to Name. He barely escapes with his life, but look at Drug, he is narrowly surviving. Not for long though, he will going down. Now Koro, one more auto attack, it's Dada. Takes him, Dada down. Now Dada has to get away with his life, and he's not going to be able to as the stream encounters some unfortunate lag. So we're gonna get this right back in there, and hopefully an update coming to you as fast as I possibly can. Unfortunately, the fidelity of this broadcast still a little bit up in the air. We'll get things back up and running as quickly as possible, even though it is somewhat anticlimactic.
Yeah, somewhat anticlimactic, but right after this fight there is a replay coming, so I hope that you don't miss any of this action.
We're back in, we can see Koro. Now Dada's gonna get the last auto attack to take him out of the fight, but now Dada goes back in and overextends too deep. He's cut off by the Void Ooze and forced to flash, and does make it out alive, so evens up the kill count at 3-3, but still a 3,000 gold lead for EDG.
Yeah, the OMG came back with this one kill that they were behind, so at least they find something for themselves, and they even out in turrets, so it still is a winnable game for them. But EDG, they will be pressuring middle lane quite heavily after that.
Mid lane taking some damage, but Name really has to be careful. He was forced to blow both of his summoner spells off of Going dashing onto him in that last fight. And now, with about 3 more minutes until his flash is back up, Name is... Well, he's not quite a sitting duck. He's a sitting void mouth monster thing. But not like the Monsters Inc. kind of monsters that are all nice and happy and helping and do all kinds of cool stuff. Name is the kind of like the nightmare monster. Nobody wants to see that guy in his dreams. So now Going is going to be the one to stun out Koro, but Black Shield will keep him very safe as he might be looking for this engage. Headbutt, pulverize, Dada is going to get in there, and he does have his ultimate to keep him very, very tanky there in the back. San's trying to micro backlane, but he cannot get out there. Going's deep in the enemy base. He's so deep, Adele is like rolling enemies way back in there, but now Cool's gonna get a snare on FCZF, gets blown apart before he can flash away, but Going might be in a little bit of trouble. He dodges away from the Bio-Arcane Barrage. Dada's gonna go down off of Koro's narrow survival, and look at Name, he's got way too much damage. Bio-Arcane Barrage gets flashed away from again, a nice 2-man slow from Drug, but oh, the Valkyrie out, San narrowly staying alive. What is this aggression? OMG. Barely surviving, making us say their name. Nice escapes. Keep him alive.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate for Name. He could have got a kill on Going, then on Cool, then on San, but everyone just run away from his ultimates, and unfortunately it doesn't really get too much, but still, he preserves his no deaths score, so that is still good. You do have this great Name on your side, and yeah, actually talking about him being the Nightmare, that's why his nickname used to be Devil.
That is true, to change that, we're going to get a replay of this team fight. You can see just the tip of that Void Ooze slowing things out before Dada7 decides to go right back into the fight. Now, I don't feel like Going's really doing very much. He's just microing back and forth, looking for his opportunity to go in. Now, he assassinates Clearlove by dashing in, and now he's right there onto you, gets a nice stun from the Equilibrium Strike. But look at Drug. He's like, okay, I need to dash in on this, but the great grouping there from Edward Gaming, keep them safe and sound. The burst onto FZZF, catching him out again, so he did die, but now Koro1's actually the one, gets his escape stopped by a nice headbutt pulverized. OMG, they've carved themselves out a spot around this dragon pit, but without the ability to clear all the wards out, still be a little bit vulnerable. Going in the meantime, pushes down the mid lane turret, and that'll actually give the turret advantage to OMG for the first time this game.
Yeah, the EDG will want to get this dragon anyway. They can't even give up a turret or two, but EDG, they want the dragons. That's what this team is focused on. All of their series, every single time they play. And still a lot of pressure going down. There is the Arcane Barrage, which can be a little bit of poke, and there is you with the bouncing bombs, but they can't really hit them. They can't bring OMG down with their health bars, and they cannot really go in, but there's the
teleport coming in. Clearlove's gonna look for the engage. A 3-man knockup, but he's gonna get exploded there by Drug. Dada's got the damage reduction, but he is gonna go down, and now Edward Gaming lose their jungler.
You're no jungler.
Start this dragon off. This is not necessarily a great option. Drug can steal this, and they've got Sand coming in from behind. A nice stun onto Koro, keeps him from getting the engage that he's looking for, and this is actually really bad for EDG there. Going's gonna try to get some damage down onto Koro, but look at Sand, he just gets destroyed, no peel, and now FCZF's gonna go down, gives the reset out to Drug. He dodges away from the Arcane Barrage. Name's still chasing, but he doesn't have any mana, so Drug is going to be able to get out of this one alive. The last auto attack snipes him down. Catches him looking. No dragon, but kills. Coming the way of Edward Gaming. Tie things up at 7-7.
Name is just fed up with people running away from him at low health bars. Finally, he finds the kill on Drug. But still so unfortunate that Clearlove had to go down. They cannot secure the dragon, and probably this fight will happen again because OMG will not give this one up.
Yeah, Edward Gaming, they won the fight, so let's go right back to Dragon. And if OMG want to try to fight them, it's probably going to be a good idea for, or a good fight for Edward Gaming. Now, they do not have any summoners. The only summoners up for Edward Gaming right now are the Smite from Clearlove, if you want to count that. And then there's an Ignite for FZZF, and he'll have his flash up in about a minute. So, summoners very, very light for Edward Gaming, whereas you're starting to see double summoners for Dada 7, and there is the flash up for San, who's about to have his heal up as well. So, Ghost there for cool, and double summoners for going. Big cooldown advantages if OMG want to fight this dragon now on much better terms.
This time around, Koro is not going to be in the top lane. He will be...
Dada, though! Gets taken way down. He's able to flash away from that Cataclysm. How that guy lived, I don't understand, but... again, there are many mysteries in survival that have happened so far this series. Dada makes it out alive, but look at the damage Name is starting to put out.
Rune Prison, though, stops Clearlove in his tracks, and then not enough follow-up to kill San, who even got caught with a Dark Binding. That could have been really dangerous for OMG, but as I said, once again, this fight is gonna happen because OMG is not gonna give up this dragon, and there we go.
Going's right up there in the front lines. He's very tanky, but he's dropping down low. Drug's gonna jump in there, and it's an almost assassination. Yeah, Koro's dead. FCZF narrowly staying alive, and it's Going gonna take him down there with a Blade Surge to the back line. Rocket's starting to come out, but they're not landing just yet, and OMG explode onto Edward Gaming, taking out 3. And now they might look for Dragon off of a big team fight win.
But it still is you and Name alive. They still are a big threat, so OMG cannot really feel too safe just yet.
OMG setting up for a very good Dragon attempt here, but the problem is that Edward Gaming, both of the champions that are alive from them have a lot of poke, so if they wanted to be annoying, they could. But just staying safe and sound for now. After what feels like about 15 minutes of dancing back and forth, OMG finally find a dragon of their own at the 30-minute mark. But we're starting to get to that late game phase, Nero, where things like Ziggs, like Kog'Maw are really going to start to kick into high gear.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's also this Maokai that is just going to be a big pain in the neck for OMG. EDG, the next fight that they fight, they might
head in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that definitely is a big factor. Actually, all of the picks that get there through the bans are big factors because you cannot ban out Cool. That's actually been said already multiple times. by us and by Frostgrind and Pyra. And actually, Alistair Maokai, you cannot unban these champions, but Aurelia, also a strong champion for Gogoing. Like you said, Braum in the bottom lane. However, Datam wasn't really too successful on this one, wasn't 100% great, wasn't hitting a lot of Winter's Bites and Glacial Fissures, but still, it was great. And that's what OMG need. While on the other hand, Name, dying 5 times, in the end I think it was even 6. That is not a great performance.
Gogoing already had like a 30 CS lead on him, and honestly, you want to talk about some big manliness. Koro, or rather Gogoing, if you've ever seen the guy, he lives out his persona in the game as well. Just an incredible performance from his Aurelia. Kind of crazy jumping in 1v3, but he always managed to make it out alive. Just awesome to watch this guy at work. And his Aurelia, game number 2, is that ban worthy now? Because game 1 we saw Alistair Maokai, and then game 2 they were both banned out. So does Gogoing's Aurelia deserve a ban? Probably not, just because there is so much to ban between the top and mid laners. We'll see if Dada 7's Braum now gets a ban, as that has been banned against him previously, and was a big factor in helping San get a game.
This team wins the game, actually.
I believe it was actually Clear Love that got the MVP for game 1, if I'm not mistaken. But very big performances from both mid laners across the board, and that'll tie the series up at 1-1. So that means that coming into game number 3, the game is basically a best of 3 to decide who will advance to the grand finals with that 1 game advantage.
Alright, yeah, actually Clear Love got this MVP. Sorry for this one, but still, you was such a huge part of the victory of EDG in the first game. That was just so great performance on his rise. The second game, well, Cool CF was just too good right there. But yeah, talking about the top laners a little bit maybe. We have Koro1, who tried to go for this Shyvana. Didn't
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2014 League of Legends Pro League Summer Playoffs. We're here in the upper bracket finals for best of 5 between OMG and Edward Gaming. And after game number 2, MVP changes teams, and this time around it's Cool with a very cool 5-1-10 performance.
Yeah, and most of all, it is all about mid laners. This time around, it is Cool with his Twist of Fate. The previous game, it was all about you with his Rise, so both mid laners getting the MVPs, and they deserve it. So when they step up the game, didn't really work out, but actually the patches are not the best thing for both of these top laners right now. Both Jax and Kayle got nerfed quite massively throughout the latest patches, and Koro1, these were his champions to go to. 6-2 on Kayle, 5-0 on Jax. That is an impressive stat right there. On the other hand, we have Gogoing, who played a lot of Gragas and a lot of Kayle. And both of these champions are just not there anymore. However, Gogoing has a great Aurelia up his sleeve, while on the other hand, Koro1 has to refer to some different champions that may not really be his best.
That's true, and you could really see the discrepancy between the top laners. Koro1 very far behind for the majority of the game. I think at around 14 to 15 minutes